Hi everybody, it's Rachel from Responsibility Catalyst. I'm so glad that you guys liked my blog post today about my bag, and I just wanted to show you guys how to make it since a lot of people have been interested in making their own. So this bag is made from knitted together plastic bags. It's super simple and I think most people can do it. I don't know very much about knitting or crocheting and I was able to make this. So my project actually started out to be a sleeping mat for homeless people because it's really durable and it keeps the water out, but unfortunately I didn't have enough time to finish it before I left back to school, and we have much more of an issue with homelessness here in California than we do back in Switzerland. So I decided that I was going to repurpose this and I made it into a bag. So it's super simple and I'm going to show you how to do it right now. So first you want to have plastic bags. I suggest getting up to 200 of them. I ask people all over to just give me their plastic bags that they don't use from the grocery store. And you simply take them, straighten them out. I suggest doing about 2 to 3 at a time. You straighten them out like this. Make sure all the corners line up, unravel it if you need to. You really want it to be as flat as possible so that you can cut it evenly. So I just flatten them out, and then once you flatten it out, you fold it over. So I folded it in about 4, so that's kind of even and easy to cut. So this is how I do it. Usually they're a lot thicker because I'm doing it with more bags. And you cut the edges off. So you cut the bottom edge off because you don't want these little pieces to be stuck together. And you also cut off the handles because the handles really aren't going to help you. So once you're left with the main part of the bag, you're going to fold it in 4. I find that that's the best size, but if you're using a bigger bag or a smaller bag, you're going to want your slices to be about 3 inches wide because that's the way it's going to be the strongest. So you fold it into 4 and you cut it down the line. Pretty simple, pretty self-explanatory. And then you cut it here as well. So once you've cut your pieces, you're going to want to link them into a yarn. So you actually don't cut this, you want it to stay in a circle. It's much easier to use and you can link up the yarn very, very simply without creating really big, ugly knots. So what you do to link them is you hold it like this and you actually place this one on top. So see this? This is on top of this little loop I created. Push the loop through and pull. So it's pretty simple to loop them. I'll do it again. Make sure that your knots are very, very small, so be very careful when you pull it together or else you're going to end up really big knots and it's really hard to knit like that. So pull it as tightly as you can. Don't stretch the plastic too hard or else it will break, but it is pretty durable as you can see. I can pull it pretty hard. And then when you want to make your next one, to ensure that it doesn't like bubble out to one side, you're just going to pull it tight, keep your finger there, and then do the next link. It's pretty simple. So here's your next link. You hold it out like this in a loop. You put this one on top and pull it through. And that's your link. I'll do one last one. So you hold it tight here. You put your finger through. You make a loop. You place this one on top of your loop, push it down, and pull it through. So this is your basic yarn. I suggest making a yarn ball just like you do with any other project, and once you get enough, you're going to be able to make a pretty big project. So I like to start knitting. A lot of people do this by crocheting. Unfortunately, I don't know how to crochet. I'm sure you can actually weave this material as well, but I'll show you how I knit it. So you're going to make your slip knot as usual. So your slip knot is just one loop. So you make a loop, and then you fold it over the string part, and you pull it through. You're not going to want to make your slip knot too tight or too big, so just about this is good. When you put it on the needle, you want it to just rest on the needle. You don't want it to be really tight to the needle, or else it's going to be really, really hard to work with the plastic. So you cast on like normal. You make a loop, and you pull it backwards so that the yarn is coming out backwards. So I would suggest looking at another knitting tutorial to learn how to do it, just because this isn't the best material to teach how to knit. but I've just cast on about 4 knots, and I'll show you how to start knitting. So you take the needle, you put it under the top needle, you loop the yarn around, and you pull it through with the needle. Again, I just suggest watching another video on how to knit until you learn how to do so. I don't suggest doing it with plastic because it makes it really difficult. But that's your end product. So you just knit like normal, and you cast off like normal. So I suggest, if you want to make a purse, to do it in a circle so you don't actually need to change needles. You actually keep it on the same needle when you go back, so that it turns into a loop. But I actually did end up making a rectangle and then just sewing up 2 sides. So casting off is exactly the same, and then you end up with a great knitted product. And then to tie it all together, I use the same exact yarn. So what I do is I flip the bag inside out, and you can see here that I really just sewed it together. But I didn't use a needle to sew it together because the plastic is very thick. I just use my fingers to find the holes in my work. So you don't want to actually make your holes really tight. You want them to be quite open. And I just pushed the plastic through, and that's really how I sewed it together with my fingers. You can make a little knot at the end so that it doesn't slide through or anything. Just tie it off here, pretty simple. And then just sew it with your fingers. And then doing this is going to make it pretty durable, pretty strong. I haven't seen any problems yet. I've taken it to the grocery store already once for a test run, and everybody loved the idea. I am planning on giving this one to a homeless person, but I think this would be great if you really just wanted to use it for yourself. It's a great way to save the environment. You know, all these plastic bags are really bad, especially since they go into the ocean and create this mess of an ocean. The little plastic fragments the fish eat, and it really pollutes quite horribly, because when they do dissolve, they dissolve into little tiny particles that you can't really pick up. So I've decided that it's a really good way to use all those plastic bags that you have shoved in your cupboard, that you just store there because of maybe one day you're going to need one. But you do need a lot more bags than you probably own. So one great thing is you could actually ask your neighbors to give you some of those bags that they store. And that way they can also have the opportunity to start using reusable bags, because we all know that all these different plastic bags are going into the ocean, and it would be much better if we can repurpose the ones we've already used and stop using the ones that we haven't touched yet. So the only suggestion I would make for you, instead of making the handle so long, I would suggest making a much shorter handle, because the plastic really does stretch out, which is great for the bag because you can put so much in the bag, but it's not really great when you have a handle that the bag is touching the floor. Now, when I wear this, I don't know if you can see, but I am quite short. So, I mean, on a normal person, it would be a lot, closer off the ground, but for me, it really almost touches the ground. So I would suggest making it a little bit shorter for this. But you always have the option of tying the handle, which does work, but I mean, it would be a lot prettier if it was smaller. So I wish you guys luck in your project. I hope this video helped. If you do make a project, please post it on my blog. I'd love to see what you guys are doing. And don't forget to tell me what you guys are up to. I'd love to hear more about your guys' ideas of how to be eco-friendly and do cool little projects like this. Have a great day.